The voters of Clacton are being posed a question this summer. Do they think the £5 million gift Nigel Farage was given before becoming their MP was something he should have mentioned? There's a parliamentary investigation into that, but Nigel Farage has triggered a by-election before it reports. Today I asked him why.
I'm being painted out to be dishonest. I'm being painted out to be a crook. And frankly, you know, there is a pylon, a massive political pylon against me. It leaves me politically in paralysis, and this is a way of breaking that. So look, I say to the people here, do you trust me, do you believe me, or don't you?
But the people here aren't getting to see what the Standards Commissioner in Parliament thinks of whether or not you broke the rules, and don't they deserve to know what that system thinks as well? They
are just as qualified to make that judgment as anybody in Westminster.
Oh, come on, they're not. They don't know what the rules all the ins and outs of the rules in Westminster.
The rules are very simple. Either you judge it to be a political donation or a purely private gift.
But Mr Farage doesn't seem to have much time for the parliamentary bodies tasked with enforcing those rules.
Are you saying the standards process doesn't matter if these voters vote for you?
The standards process can do what it wants.
That sounds like a yes. That sounds like you don't care what it says.
The standards process can do what it wants. We're the first party for 100 years that has challenged the existing status quo in Westminster. I have a strong feeling that everyone's working together to try and get us out of the game.
But the other main parties aren't going for Nigel Farage here. They've branded this by-election a stunt and are leaving the field to minor parties and novelty candidates like Cunt Binface. The Chancellor, who could have blocked Farage's resignation, wrote, "If he wants to spend the summer arguing with a bin, I won't stop him." Nigel Farage's supporters aren't concerned about his finances.
I don't think it'll make a difference, to be fair. I think he's one of them, if you like him, and if you don't, you don't.
They go on about the way he's been acting. What about when Keir Starmer came in? What about all the freebies?
Of course, not everyone supports Farage.
There does need to be an investigation.
In actual fact, we don't want another Trump running this country.
Should the Parliamentary Standards Commissioner find that Nigel Farage has broken the rules, it is entirely possible that another by-election could be triggered here, this time with all the main parties standing against him. Carl Dinnan, News at 10, Clacton-on-Sea.
Well, the cry from opposition parties is that Mr Farage has jumped into a by-election before he was pushed into one as a result of the findings of that parliamentary investigation Carl mentioned. The questions about his personal finances take a bit of explaining. So here's Harry to do just that. Harry.
Well, these questions, Kamal, about Nigel Farage's finances began in April, when details emerged of a £5 million gift given to Nigel Farage in early 2024 before the last general election by Christopher Harborne. He is a British crypto billionaire who lives in Thailand. Now, when Nigel Farage was elected as an MP 2 years ago, that £5 million gift was never declared. Now, Parliament's rules state that new members must register all their current financial interests and registrable benefits received in the 12 months before their election within 1 month of their election. Now, the aim of these rules is to try and provide information to the public about any financial interest that could be perceived to influence a new MP's actions. Parliament's Standards Commissioner has opened an investigation into whether the rules were broken. So what's Nigel Farage's explanation about all of this? Well, since details of this £5 million gift have emerged, his regular press conferences in Westminster, you might remember these, have all but dried up. And in the few interviews he has given, explanations for the gift have varied.
This money is the only way I can look after myself and protect myself for the rest of my life. Frankly, it was given as a reward for campaigning for Brexit for 27 years.
And what did you spend it on?
I haven't.
Well, a Reform UK spokesperson said this was a personal gift unrelated to politics. Now, over the weekend, there were more allegations emerging in the Sunday Times of further financial support given to Nigel Farage by George Cottrell. He is a long-standing aide who was jailed in the US for 8 months in 2017 for wire fraud. It's alleged that Mr. Cottrell, also known as Posh George, paid for social media staff and security before the general election. Nigel Farage denies any wrongdoing, says he's followed the rules. Yesterday, though, he quit as an MP, triggering this Clacton by-election. This put a stop to that Standards Commissioner investigation. But if, as looks likely, Nigel Farage does win re-election in Clacton, that investigation is expected to resume. Its findings could trigger yet another by-election in Clacton, one where all the other main parties have indicated they will stand. So the questions surrounding Nigel Farage's finances might be put on hold, Gamal, but they have not gone away.
OK, Harry, many thanks indeed.
First of all, Nigel, why are you doing this now when the standards investigation could very well trigger another by-election? And for that one, people would have the full facts.
No, they would no more facts at all. The standards decision will be a purely subjective decision. Let's be clear. I've broken no laws. I'm not in trouble with the tax man. I've not abused public money. I've claimed zero expenses personally as an MP since I was elected. I absolutely insist that what happened from 2021 to 2024 had nothing to do with party politics or politics per se. Yeah, sure, I was an influencer, I was a broadcaster, I was doing all those things. And the standards rules are very clear. They're there to regulate your public life and not your private life. I insist what I did was part of my private life. Before getting into politics, I took strong legal advice on it. And the problem with standards is this could run for months and months. And kind of almost every day, there's a new crazy story appearing in the press that I've done this, I've done that. I'm being painted out to be dishonest. I'm being painted out to be a crook. And frankly, there is a pylon, a massive political pylon against me. It leaves me politically in paralysis, and this is a way of breaking that. So look, I say to the people here, do you trust me, do you believe me, or don't you?
But the people here aren't getting to see what the Standards Commissioner in Parliament thinks of whether or not you broke the rules, and don't they deserve to know what that system thinks as well?
They are just as qualified to make that judgment as anybody in Westminster.
Oh, come on, they're not. They don't know what the
rules
rules all the ins and outs of the rules in Westminster.
The rules are very simple. Either you judge it to be a political donation or a purely private gift. That's what this comes down to. I'm certain in my mind I've done nothing wrong. But now I'm being accused of all sorts of things going back to 2023.
You seem to be saying that if people here vote for you in this by-election, then that overrides anything the Standards Commissioner finds in Westminster, that his investigation doesn't matter.
I don't think that the two big political parties and mainstream media in Westminster are fit to be They are judging me before standards. I'm being judged as being guilty every single day by newspapers, broadcasters, and elsewhere. I will happily accept the judgment of these voters.
And what about the standards process? Are you saying the standards process doesn't matter if these voters vote for you?
The standards process can do what it wants.
That sounds like a yes. That sounds like you don't care what it says.
The standards process can do what it wants. I want a big endorsement. Look, we're the first party for 100 years that has challenged the existing status quo in Westminster. I have a strong feeling that everyone's working together to try and get us out of the game. I need that public support. I need that endorsement. I need that trust.
Just a couple more questions. You could end up in a situation where there is another by-election here, doesn't it? That plus the fact that you're only facing Bin Face at the moment, doesn't that make the whole thing
I think
farcical?
2 points there. Very unlikely there'll be another by-election, I would have thought. I do actually genuinely believe I haven't broken standards rules. But interestingly, whatever happens, there will be a genuine election to Parliament that will take place with every voter given the opportunity to take part. Labour are running away from it because they don't want a new Prime Minister to sort of, lose a deposit. The Conservatives got 30,000 votes in this seat in 2019. They tried to stop the Essex County Council elections. They don't want a general election. They're not contesting in this election. And frankly, I would say to them and the Labour Party, if you don't stand, you are the ones treating voters here with contempt.
And just for the record, because you're in a commanding position in the polls, you could still be the next Prime Minister of this country. Why did you get that £5 million gift, and what have you spent it on?
Well, it was an unconditional gift. I mean, that's absolutely clear, legally an unconditional gift. But I know what it's for, and I think the donor understood what it was for without putting any conditions on. I've been the most physically attacked politician of modern times. I will need security for the rest of my life. Between 2021 and 2024, I incurred very, very substantial personal bills. And when I go to the government for help, they give it for a little bit, then they withdraw it. I will need that for the rest of my life, and I'm deeply indebted to Christopher Harborne that I've now got the money, which means I'll never have to worry about it.